Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the channel today. The NFL schedule officially dropped tonight, and it's always a really cool time for the league. Obviously, we know way in advance who plays who, where, but we don't know the when. And the when is very important, as you guys know. There's some marquee matchups that got announced today that I think I'm really, really excited for. So I thought it would be a cool video for you guys to go through some of my favorite games for every single week now that the full schedule is out. But before we do that, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 1,000, and I would really appreciate your help. All right, let's start it off sexy with week one. Opening night, Thursday night. It's been a tradition that the Super Bowl champion has played on the opening Thursday night game. No different here. The Chiefs are playing much like they did last year against the Lions. But the Ravens are a very, very interesting opponent. Not only was this the rematch of the AFC Championship game, this time it's in Kansas City, though. I just think that this Ravens team and this Chiefs team both look so different, and it's really going to be an instant clash to see who is going to reign supreme in the AFC. Now, obviously, this game is not going to determine who comes out of the AFC, but I think it'll be very interesting to see if the Ravens can hold up or if the Chiefs, are just too much for even the best team in the AFC. So I think that matchup is going to be really good, obviously, and it's also Mahomes and Lamar in primetime. I mean, it really doesn't get better than that. Scrolling down a little bit, I also really like the Rams at Detroit in the Sunday night game for week one. Obviously, like that playoff game was so good. The Lions got this close to the Super Bowl. There's so much history with the Stafford and Jared Goff trade. Jared Goff is now, the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL as of a couple days ago. Stafford returning to Detroit, for the second game in a row. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then the Jets at the 49ers week one. Listen, the league knows what they're doing. They do. And I think that it's pretty funny that they put Aaron Rodgers, a guy whose Achilles exploded, like 3 plays in the year last year, against Nick Bosa and the 49ers pass rush. And I've heard people talking about this today, and I totally agree. One of the hardest position groups to get meshed right away is offensive line. And the Jets have a totally rebuilt offensive line. So I think it's quite funny that they put them against the 49ers, who have a fantastic defense, have a great pass rusher in Nick Bosa, when their offensive line will not be accustomed to each other. Let's move on now to week number 2. In week 2, I think some of the cool matchups, Bills-Dolphins Thursday night, that's going to be great. I kind of worry that they're putting a lot of great games on Thursday night. Like, Thursday night is kind of the weakest broadcast. I think we can kind of all agree with that. But Bills-Dolphins earlier in the year, hopefully they won't be too fatigued. It's in Miami. Should be good weather, hopefully. Scrolling down the list a little bit, this isn't the best week. I'll be honest with you. There's probably not a whole lot of games I really want to talk about here. I think the Buccaneers at Lions could be interesting, but this is not, I think, a week. I mean, the primetime game is pretty weak, like Falcons, Eagles. I don't really care. I will say, though, Sunday night, Caleb Williams, his first primetime game, his primetime debut against C.J. Stroud. I do not think that was by accident. Again, I think that the Bears had every chance in the world to take C.J. Stroud if they would have liked. They traded away the pick to the Panthers. They took Caleb Williams. This is a very interesting. I think you're seeing the two teams that are on the highest ascension right now in the Bears and Texans going at it week 3, and again it would be week 2, and it would be the first big test for Caleb Williams. This is what I'm talking about Thursday night. This game's weak as fuck. I mean, nobody cares about that game. The Patriots. I'm sorry. I like Drake May, but I'm sorry. I'm not trying to watch him on Thursday night, week 3. Again, I think Caleb versus Anthony Richardson could be interesting. I think, the Dolphins at Seattle will be interesting, but maybe that's because I'm a Seahawks fan. I don't know. Ravens at Cowboys, that will be a ratings, dream come true. I promise you that. I also wanted to know one thing that I forgot to talk about in week 1. Week 1 is Cowboys and Browns. And Tom Brady, that's going to be the Tom Brady game. It's his first debut game. I don't think we really know his schedule beyond that, but I would imagine that Tom Brady gets a lot of Cowboys games. And if this stupid fucking ad doesn't get on my way. Anyways, I think Tom Brady's going to be doing a lot of Cowboys games. It's just going to be ratings gold. Bills, Jaguars on Monday night. This is where we start the Monday night doubleheader. I do not care about Washington going to Cincinnati, but I do think that Jaguars and Bills will be interesting to watch in week 3. Going into week 4, we've got the Cowboys and Giants Thursday night game. Like I said, I don't really care. That ad is really pissing me off, actually. Jaguars and Texans will be fun at about noon. Chiefs, Chargers. I actually think that this game is probably the game of the week, just because, again, you look at what is Jim Harbaugh going to do? Is he going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Mahomes, with the Chiefs, with Andy Reid? TBD. Obviously, Sunday night is really good as well this week. Bills at Ravens. Again, two powerhouses in the AFC going at it. And then the Monday night game this week is Seattle at Detroit. I think it's better than the Tennessee and Dolphins game. I think that's a no-brainer. That'll be a fun game because Seattle's kind of had Detroit's number the last couple of years. All right, let's go to week 5. And again, if there's games that I'm missing that you think are really interesting or you really wanted me to talk about, let me know in the comments down below. Like, I've kind of reviewed this before, and maybe I see through rose-tinted glasses, so I'm not paying attention to your team or your favorite matchup or whatever. But I'm just trying to spot the ones that I think are really interesting. Ravens, Bengals, 12 o'clock will be interesting. Bills, Texans will be interesting. This is actually a good week. What is this? Week 5. This is a good week of football. Bears, Panthers is going to be a shit show, honestly. Ravens, Bengals is great. Bills, Texans, great. Colts, Jaguars, great. I even think that, never mind. The games suck. The primetime games. Sunday night, Cowboys at Steelers, and then Saints at Chiefs. Good luck, New Orleans. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good week. It's got a lot of action packed in that 12 o'clock slate. I mean, this is probably the best 12 o'clock slate that we have gotten thus far this year. Week 6. And again, I think it's important to note when the NFL put these teams together, like where the NFL got these teams. I think the later in the year we'll see some better and better matchups because that's when the playoffs happen. That's when ratings start to go up. Post Thanksgiving, I think, is when the NFL starts to really get interesting. Speaking of this week, this is week 6. This is my birthday week, and they're playing the 49ers. Fuck you, NFL. Why do you make my team go against the 49ers week of my birthday? Jaguars at Bears. I know this one is in London. And again, I just think it's really cool. The Jaguars are going to get 2 London games. And I think I think like pushing the biggest stars in the league is great for the international brand. I know I've talked about Caleb Williams. I get it, right? I'm a little bit of a homer, I guess, for Caleb. But it is really good marketing to have the number 1 overall pick, quote unquote generational prospect, go international fairly recent into his NFL career. That as to spread the great players across the globe. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to see fucking Mac Jones in London. Like, if I was a London fan, or if I lived in London, I'd never watch football again. If you put fucking Mac Jones and Gardner Minshew on my TV, get them off. You put Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Williams, 2 first overall picks, gets a lot more interesting. I also think another good matchup this week is the Lions and Cowboys. We saw last year CeeDee Lamb had the best play of his life against the Lions. That was fucking insane. That was basically what won me my fantasy championship. So shout out CeeDee Lamb. You a dog. I'm sure nobody's ever told you that before. And then the Monday night game is really good. Bills and Jets in New York. That's how the season started last year. Obviously, it started off as a disaster. Quite literally, it was on Monday night as well, which is kind of ironic. But hopefully the Jets can maybe get some, bounce back in there. Week 7, the Thursday night game this week, if I remember. Yeah, it's really weak. It's the Broncos and the Saints. I just do not care about this. Not a whole lot of good games. Bengals Browns is always interesting because the Browns actually are pretty good against the Bengals. I think Texans at Packers is actually a sneaky good game. Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud were both awesome last year. I really also like Chiefs at 49ers. I mean, come on. This is the Super Bowl rematch. This is the twice over Super Bowl rematch in San Francisco. I think is huge. But at the same time, like, this is just going to be such a good game. The Monday night games are pretty weak. I'm not going to lie. I don't like Baltimore. Tampa is okay, but then the Chargers going to Arizona is not that entertaining for me. But again, game of the week this week is and Fox has it. Yeah, Chiefs at 49ers. Fox has it. I would bet a lot of money that Tom Brady calls that game. I'm just saying that right now. Let's go to week 8. Vikings at Rams. I think this is interesting just for the sense of like Kevin O'Connell being a former disciple of Sean McVay. Outside of that, I'm not too excited to watch it, to be honest with you. Nice AFC North matchup right here in the 12 o'clock slate with the Ravens and Browns. Packers, Jaguars will be interesting. Bills at Seattle will be interesting. Again, maybe I'm just a Seahawks fan. But another one that's going to be ratings gold for Sunday Night Football, Cowboys, 49ers. Cowboys got fucking waxed by San Francisco last year. I believe that was also in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken. They got fucking waxed by the 49ers last year, and truthfully, I expect much of the same for Week 8. Week 9, going into the Thursday game. This was a good Thursday night game, if I remember. Yes, it is. Texans at Jets. That'll be a really fun game. Hopefully we get... Oh, that's on Halloween, actually. Sweet. So we get C.J. Stroud, Aaron Rodgers in New York with the bright lights. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Thursday night. I think the broadcast is the weakest out of all of the time slots, but every once in a while, every few weeks, we'll get a good game, and I think this has the potential to be one of the better Thursday night games of the year. Dolphins at Bills is going to be interesting. We got the Lions and Packers. That's a divisional round. That'll be interesting. Jaguars at Eagles for Sunday night. That will be interesting. I think the idea of Trevor Lawrence going into Philadelphia in a primetime game and shitting his pants kind of makes me smile. Not because he's a bad player, just because Philadelphia is going to chew him up and spit him out, and they're going to rain booze on him like there's no tomorrow. Tampa at Kansas City. If you want to be an asshole, that is a Super Bowl matchup from like 4 years ago, because Mahomes has been in so many fucking Super Bowls. He can say, anyways. But yeah, that is pretty good. I mean, this week's kind of whatever. Week 9's whatever. Week 10, Thursday night game is Bengals Ravens. Unfortunately, this was the game last year where Joe Burrow injured his thumb. Honestly, about the same point in the year. I don't know if it was week 10 exactly, but it was about the same point. This week we don't have a lot of great games, admittedly. Eagles at Cowboys will be fun. Lions at Texans will be fun, and then Dolphins at Rams will be fun. So you got those 3 games to look forward to. The rest is kind of like whatever. I mean, I'm not really feeling a whole lot of these games. Kind of some lopsided matchups, but the primetime games are good, and then obviously the Eagles and Cowboys game is good as well. Dolphins at Rams will be interesting. I do expect the Dolphins to win that game by a sizable margin, I would say. Thursday, the 14th, week 11, which takes place on the 14th. Some good games. Bears Packers. Caleb's first time hosting Green Bay. For those of you who don't live in Illinois, you might not believe this, but there is a rivalry. Doesn't seem like it much these days because the Packers own the Bears, and I say that as somebody who lives in Illinois. It's pretty sad. Jaguars at Lions will be pretty good. I'm looking Seattle at San Fran. I'm glad that the one on my birthday, or a few days before my birthday, is in Seattle. That'll give them some optimism. I still don't think that we beat San Francisco. I think we probably get swept by San Francisco. The big one here, though, is I think there's 3 really big ones this week. Chiefs at Bills. Josh Allen has been able to beat Patrick Mahomes in the regular season, but has not been able to beat him in the playoffs. So that'll be interesting to watch. Bengals at Chargers. I think the Chargers at this point in the year will be fighting for a playoff spot. I don't know if they win their division, but I think they're going to be fighting to go like 9-8, 10-7, whatever. This will be a big game for them. The Colts at the Jets. I believe this would be Anthony Richardson's first primetime game. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I missed a game. And then C.J. Stroud at the Cowboys on Monday night. That'll be a really good game. Again, that'll talk about ratings. That will be really, really good for ratings. If you can't tell, I'm really high on C.J. Stroud this year. I think he's going to be quite good. This week kind of sucks balls, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Steelers-Browns, I don't care. I'm so sorry. Although, if Justin Fields is starting, it would definitely be more interesting, that's for sure. Chiefs-Panthers, oh my God, that's a bloodbath. Titans-Texans is okay. 49ers at Packers is pretty good. And then the primetime game that I'm really excited for is Ravens at Chargers. Again, I believe, was it Sunday night? I believe it was Sunday night that they played last year. But it was, the Ravens kind of shit on them. Bears at Lions will be interesting. Again, I do expect the Bears to be fighting for the playoffs, and I expect the Lions to be fighting for seeding in the NFC. I think the Lions win the division, but the Bears will be fighting for a wild card spot, and the Lions will be fighting to win the North. So that'll be fun to watch. This is oh my God. This is Thanksgiving. This is Thanksgiving. I was like, why is there three Thursday games? So this is a Thanksgiving game. This is at 11:30. The 3:30 Thanksgiving game is Giants at Cowboys. Good luck, Daniel Jones. The Cowboys seem to always be pretty good on Thanksgiving. Last year they fucking just bent over the Commanders. It was pretty sad to watch. And then Dolphins at Green Bay. Dolphins played Green Bay on Christmas a couple of years ago, and the game it was close, but Tua played really bad. I think he had like 3 interceptions, so that wasn't fun. Expect a better game. The rest, Raiders, Chiefs. I'm not as optimistic on the Raiders as a lot of people are. I don't think that that's going to be a very good game. Maybe they get them once, but I kind of doubt it. Texans at Jaguars. That'll be fun. I think C.J. Stroud and Trevor Lawrence are going to be fighting for the division. I expect C.J. to win it, but I do think that'll be a fun matchup. Seattle going to New York. That's pretty good. That's you could definitely do worse. But this right here, this is the magnum opus is the word I was looking for this week. Eagles at Ravens. Oh my gosh, that's such a good game at 3:25 on CBS. That will be the Jim Nantz and Tony Romo game. And then 49ers at Buffalo. That will be on Sunday night. That is going to be a really, really good game. I want Josh Allen to take a shit on the 49ers. I'm sorry. Did I say that? I'm supposed to be unbiased. Week 14, this is, again, where you really start thinking about playoff seeding. You really start thinking about each team and where they stand in their division, in their conference, whatever. Starts the week off, Packers at Lions. Both these teams play on Thanksgiving, so thankfully they're not playing on a short week, which is great for them because that's the one downside to Thursdays. You play on that short week, whatever. Then the other interesting matchups, I think Jets at Dolphins will be pretty interesting as well. I expect both of these teams to be fighting for the playoffs. You're looking down here, Bears at 49ers. Good luck, Mr. Caleb Williams. And then again, I think the Chargers and Chiefs games will be interesting. Monday, hopefully, Joe Burrow is able to stay healthy because then he goes to Jerry's World on Monday, December 9th. Let's go to week 15. Now, if you're noticing a trend of me quote unquote only talking about good teams or good quarterbacks or whatever, because that's normally what makes teams good. I'm sorry to all my Saints fans out there, but to a national audience, you're just not that interesting. And that doesn't just go for the Saints, that goes for a lot of teams. So if you're a quote unquote casual fan, or if you're a fan that's interested in only the marquee games, what makes games great for a team you're not a fan of is good quarterback play, good teams that are fighting for the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to watch the Broncos in Week 15. And that's just reality. And I think the NFL realizes that. So that's why when I'm highlighting teams, if I haven't highlighted your team or if I didn't highlight a specific matchup, it's probably because for a national audience, it might not be that interesting. Just being completely honest with you. Again, you got to think of the storylines. You got to think of the playoffs. You got to think of the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are the biggest piece. Coaches, whatever. Rams at 49ers will be interesting. McVay, Shanahan will be fun. And again, the Rams will probably be competing for the wild card. The 49ers, again, will be competing for the number one seed in the NFC. So a little bit higher on the tier list, but they'll be there. Jets at Jaguars. Again, the Jets playing interesting games really hinges on whether or not Aaron Rodgers is healthy. Because regardless of if he's playing great, playing bad, or playing somewhere in between, Aaron Rodgers is somebody that you just can't take your eyes off of. And I mean that in the most respectful and disrespectful way possible. He's always just somebody we're going to just be glued to watching. Some of us will want to see him succeed. Some of us want to see him fail. That's up to your discretion. What's the quote by Peter? I think it's by Peter Weber. Whether you hated me or loved me, you watched. That's Aaron Rodgers. That nobody exemplifies that in the NFL better than Aaron Rodgers right now. Bills Lions, that'll be a really good game. Again, that'll be the Jim Nantz Tony Romo game on CBS. And then the Monday games are not that good that week. I'm gonna be real. Week 16, we have Texans going to Kansas City. That'll be super fun. That's a Saturday game. Then we have the Lions at the Bears. That'll be pretty good. We have the 49ers at the Dolphins, the Mike McDaniel revenge game. I know they've played already. I believe it was 2022. Oh, yeah, that was the first game that Brock Purdy came in. And if I do remember, the 49ers shit on the Dolphins, which they do a lot of teams. It's whatever. The Monday game, like I said, Saints, I'm sorry. Derek Carr, I just can't give a fuck, unfortunately. Week 17, this is the last regular week, I guess, of the NFL schedule, which is pretty cool. I don't know why the fucking ad keeps doing that. So looking at the Seahawks and Bears post-Christmas, very interested to watch that one. I may or may not be at that game, so you might see a vlog coming. My Seahawks are coming to town. Ravens at Texans, that is a great game, a rematch of the divisional round. I expect the Texans to put up a much better fight than they did in that playoff game. Hopefully their only points are not off a punt return touchdown. Jets-Bills will be fun. Again, they'll be competing for the playoffs. Lions at 49ers, an NFC Championship game rematch. That'll be super fun. And then the games not yet scheduled, I guess, are, these kind of suck. Who cares? Whatever. None of these teams. The Bengals would be good. The Rams might be good. Whatever. I just don't care. And then week 18, you got all the divisional games. So let's see. I want to go through and talk about each team's playoff chances and what their last matchup is going to be. So the 49ers are Cardinals. This is a classic example of if the 49ers have the 1 seed locked up, they're going to rest their starters. And especially against the Arizona Cardinals, they might not even need their starters to win. So they're probably going to rest Purdy and McCaffrey and Ayuk and whatever. Falcons at Panthers. Again, the Falcons probably will be competing to win the South. Having the Panthers as your last game is as easy of a game as it possibly gets. Ravens Browns. Now, what's interesting about this game is, I expect the Ravens to be really good, but playing the Browns in the last week of the season is really physical. So if the Ravens don't get a first-round bye, they might be a little battered and bruised going into that wild card matchup. I think that'll be interesting. Giving the Cowboys the Commanders, obviously it's the revenge of Dan Quinn. It's in Dallas. Again, I think the Dallas Cowboys probably, either win the East or they're like a really good 5 seed. I hate this fucking ad, dude. The Chiefs at the Broncos again. They're giving the Chiefs a freebie. Lions Vikings, that'll be fun. Bears Packers is super fun week 18 because it was supposed to be fun last year, but it wasn't because the Bears sucked. Now with Caleb, that's way better. Maybe the Bears are like 8-8. They need to go into Lambeau, win a game to make the playoffs. I mean, that is the shit that you dream of. If you're a Bears fan, if you're a promoter of the NFL, if you're a Caleb fan, whatever. Colts Jags, this game right here could be deciding a wild card spot. Same thing with Seattle and Rams. I expect probably the Rams to be a little bit better, but this could be also fighting for a wild card spot. The Chargers get the Raiders, which again, it's not super easy. It's not super hard, whatever. The Bills do get the Patriots, so that is a pretty easy game to lock up any seeding or wild card thing. Jets, Dolphins, this game could be to get into one of those AFC wild card spots. Eagles get the Giants. I really thought it would be, I think it would be more interesting for the NFL if they put the Eagles and Cowboys in Week 18. I digress. They didn't want to be too aggressive. I get it. Bengals, Steelers, like I said, the AFC North is just so physical, so it's going to be hard for the Bengals to go next week and win a playoff game. Bucks, Saints, I'm sorry, I just can't give a fuck. I'm shitting on the Saints. If you're a Saints fan, I'm so sorry. I've just been so critical. I'm tired. It's like 12:30 at night. I'm sorry. I think of Derek Carr and he just pisses me off. I'm really, really sorry. Texans, Titans. Again, this could be good for the Texans. But this is the NFL regular season schedule. It is out. It is officially out. We know who is playing where and when. But if you guys enjoyed, let me know in the comments down below. Very shortly, I'm going to do I think, record predictions video. So I'm going to simulate that and see how that goes. But if you guys want more videos, don't forget to subscribe. I love you guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.